In this video, I will be going over multi-step equations. Multi-step equations require multiple steps to isolate the variable. No two multi-step equations are the same, but we can follow a general set of rules to help us simplify the equation. First of all, if there are parentheses, we're going to use the distributive property. If there are like terms on the same side of the equal sign, we will combine them. And then if there's variables on both sides, we're going to pick a side, get them to one side so we can isolate the variable. For your 100 equations unit, test number 10 is multi-step equations. There are 10 questions, 10 equations for your final 10 points available. You're definitely going to want to have a few pieces of scratch paper handy to write the problems out and show all of your work. I doubt that any of us could be solving these multi-step equations mentally without showing any sort of work. So make sure that you're watching the next couple of examples that I give you because they're actual problems from test number 10. And then a good way to study would be to rewrite the problem on a separate piece of paper and see if you can arrive at the same answer on your own. For this first example, I see that there are parentheses, so I'm going to use the distributive property to undo those parentheses. 3 times p is 3p, and 3 times negative 3 is negative 9. When I distribute the negative 2 to the p, I get minus 2p, and it's negative 2 times negative 2, giving me a positive 4. Make sure you watch out for those double negatives. I'm going to rewrite everything on the left side because there aren't any parentheses. And now I'm going to be looking for like terms on the same side of the equal sign. So on the left, I have negative 8p and a negative 4p for a total of 4p plus 5. On the right side, I have 3p minus 2p, which is 1p. The 1 isn't necessary, but you can write it if you want. I also have two constants, negative 9 and a positive 4, which is negative 5. Now I have variables on both sides, so I need to pick a side. I am going to choose to subtract 1p from both sides to give me 3p plus 5 equals negative 5. I am down to a two-step equation in order to isolate the variable p, so I'm going to subtract the constant 5 to get rid of that on the left. I'm left with 3p equals not 0, that's a common wrong answer. Negative 5 take away 5 more is negative 10. And when you divide by 3 on both sides, you get p is equal to negative 10 thirds. I would accept that answer. If you wanted to change it to negative 3 1/3 or negative 3.3 repeating, that's fine, but this is perfectly acceptable. Again, I would suggest that you rewrite this problem on a separate piece of paper and work it out, making sure that you arrive at the same answer that I did. Another problem directly from test 10 is shown here. You might want to pause the video and work it out and see if you get the same answer as I do. I do see parentheses, so I'm going to use the distributive property to undo that on both sides of the equal sign. That gives me 6 plus 18m equals 16m. Remember, it's a negative times a negative, so it's a positive 16m. And then negative 8 times 5 would be minus 40, and then the minus 4 is still there on the right side. Now I have like terms on the right side. I can't put 6 and 18m together because they're not the same variable m. But on the right side, I have a negative 40 take away 4 more. So that's actually negative 44. A common wrong answer would be negative 36. So we have 16m minus 44 on the right. Now I have variables on both sides, so I'm going to choose to subtract 16m from both sides, which leaves me with 6 plus 2m equals negative 44. and the variable m is what I'm trying to isolate. So I have a two-step equation here. The first step being to subtract 6 to get rid of that on the left, leaving me with 2m. And then on the right, negative 46 take away 6, negative 44 take away 6 is negative 50. And then when I divide by 2, m is equal to negative 25. So just to review, multi-step equations require multiple steps in order to isolate the variable. Make sure you're showing your work and watching your negative signs, and you'll do just fine.